warm welcome to Superscreen News at 10, broadcasting to you live from Lagos State, Nigeria. I am Olamide Onwuka. Many thanks for joining us. President Muhammadu Buhari has called on Nigerians to take their permanent voters card seriously ahead of the 2019 general elections. The president disclosed this at the presidential Villa Abuja during the breaking of Ramadan fast with the members of the judiciary led by Justice Olukayode Ariwola of the Supreme Court. The president also urged state governors to continue to embark on voters' education in the country. The Arewa Youth Consultative Forum has advised President Muhammadu Buhari to sign the Not Too Young to Run bill and give the younger generation of the opportunity to govern the country ahead of the 2019 election. The national president of the ACF, Yerima Shetima, disclosed this to journalists when he was reacting to the Democracy Day broadcast of the president. President Buhari aired in the broadcast said in a few days he will soon sign the Not Too Young to Run bill. The bill, which is part of the process to amend the 1999 Constitution, seeks to reduce the minimum age requirement for the elective elections into the country. Shetima said nothing encouraging in President's promises that he will soon sign the bill. And as Nigeria commemorates Democracy Day, the federal government has been urged to work on the lives of properties of the citizens. This appeal was made by some political observers on the assessment of Nigeria's democracy. Details in this report.
Struggle driven by the vision for a better Nigeria. The nation resisted military system of government and enthroned democracy. A feat achieved in 1999 when the military government of General Abdulsalam Abubakar handed over power to the then democratically elected President Olusegun Obasanjo, and since then democracy has been running smoothly. While the People's Democratic Party (PDP) ruled for 16 years, the All Progressives Congress (APC) took over power in 2015 and have spent 3 years. But given the past and the present, how has the nation fared under democracy? These political observers gave their assessment. For them, there is a problem with human rights.
The principle of democracy is the government, the rule of the people. The rule of the people. And under Nigerian democracy, because we are multi-religious state, I can say the Nigerian democracy is also the rule of the people and the rule of God. So whenever there is a government that is not consistent with the principle of the people, automatically there is a problem. And whenever such government is not running the governance in a way that is consistent with the Constitution, by the provision of Section 1 of subsection 2, automatically that particular democracy is not the true democracy. So we can say that Nigerians, we are practicing democracy, but we are not, the government is not observing the true principles of democracy.
There are basic fundamental human rights that are enunciated by the Nigerian Constitution, which the average Nigerian person is entitled to enjoy. One of such rights is the right to life, right to own property, and the Constitution also says that protection of life and the property of the people shall be the primary responsibility of governance. Unfortunately, the right to life and right to property have become under serious threat. In the recent times, all over the country, people are being killed indiscriminately, properties are being burnt, the roads have become so unsafe, people are being kidnapped and murdered on the roads. School children can no longer go to school freely without being exposed to the risk of being kidnapped and taken away to unknown destinations where their lives are jeopardized. A whole lot of young Nigerian people are being trafficked on a daily basis to different parts of the world. Our children, the youths, are also migrating to to countries that are not too disposed or hospitable to Nigerian people. Look at the alarming rate in which Nigerians are being assaulted in places like South Africa and some of the North African countries. When you look at some of these things happening, these are areas in which our democracy has been failing seriously.
Looking into the nation's political future, these political observers were quick to condemn social injustice, poor standard of living and insecurity that has led to killings and kidnapping, among others. They tasked government on the need to intensify efforts at securing lives and property.
In Section 13 and also Section 14, provides that democracy should be the government with certain objectives. So these things and all those objectives are for the favor of the people. For example, security, the welfare of the people, and other things. So I can say the Nigerian democracy, we are still on the learning process. We have not attained to a standard democracy.
We want to enjoy the government, that they should buckle up and ensure that the rights of the average Nigerian person to life and the security of his property, whether within the boundaries of Nigeria or outside, are better protected.
As Nigeria commemorates this year's Democracy Day, it will be right that government, as suggested, protects the rights of its citizens and ensure their security. Adinke Owoye Ajiboye, Superscreen News.
The People's Democratic Party (PDP), the United People's Party (UPP), and the Labour Party (LP) have rated the Democracy Day speech of President Muhammadu Buhari below average. The party said Nigerians expected better than the president offered in security, safety, economic growth, and prosperity. On its part, the PDP described the president's address as uninspiring, hollow, and full of self-praise, stressing its false performance claims was silent in issues and agitating the minds of Nigerians. The PDP made its position known in a statement signed by its National Publicity Secretary, Kola Ologbondinyo. Imo State Governor Rochas Okorocha has expressed his opinions about democracy in Nigeria. Okorocha said this while democracy in the Western world, especially in the United States of America, has continued to flourish based on the established moral values and ability to serve. Nigeria's democracy is driven by shared sentiment anchored on tribalism, geographical and religious backgrounds. Okorocha, who spoke at an interactive session with journalists to mark the 2018 Democracy Day celebration in Owerri, the capital of Imo State. This raised the alarm that the religious sentiments had derailed the democratic process in Nigeria. And President Muhammadu Buhari has been charged to promote the rule of law by allowing the opposition parties and government. A member of the House of Representatives, Kako Are, representing Mushi Constituency 1, made the appeal in his assessment of Nigeria's democracy.
Power, we should talk about it. Education, we might not be where we expect it to be, but we should thank God. At least we have people within our community that we can easily refer to when it comes to democracy. People like me, there are other legislators, House of Assembly members, there are council chairmen, there are councillors. These are all about democracy. Yes, whatever we've been today, we can still improve on it. And I want to advise the current head of state, President Muhammadu Buhari, that it's all about democracy. And there is no way you can talk of democracy without sustaining opposition to it. It's not as if I'm 100% satisfied. We can always improve on it. This is just a starting point.
House of Reps member Kakware speaking there. And meanwhile, a former spokesperson for the People's Democratic Party PDP, Dayo Adeye, has defected to All Progressives Congress APC. The former Minister of State for Work said he is joining forces with the APC and its candidate Kayode Fayemi to rescue Ekiti State. Interestingly, the former PDP spokesperson also went with his supporters to the All Progressives Congress word. His defection is appointed that the Ekiti gubernatorial polls will be a tough battle. And Lagos State Governor Akinwumi Ambode has said the security of lives and property of Nigerians and residents of his Lagos State is biggest achievement of his administration in the last 3 years. The governor, who disclosed this at the inauguration of Forward Operating Base of the Nigerian Army in the Ekpe area of the state, said Lagos is presently the safest city in Africa. He pointed out that the investment of his administration in the security architecture of the state and efforts of security agencies have resulted in peaceful atmosphere for residents and visitors. He'll recall the days of kidnapping, cold clashes and other security challenges in Ikorodu and Ekpe areas, emphasizing that it is satisfying that the activities of criminal elements such as the militant, among others, have been confined to history and the state. The Federal High Court in Lagos has ordered the immediate prosecution of the principal officers of the National Assembly indicted in the padding of the 2016 budget to the tune of 481 billion naira. The court, in a judgment, ordered President Muhammadu Buhari to instruct the anti-graft agencies which investigated the alleged budget padding to submit the report to him. Justice Hidris gave the judgment in favor of a group, Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, which in 2017 filed a suit seeking an order of mandamus to compel the AGF to prosecute principal members of the National Assembly who allegedly padded the 2016 budget. And you're watching Superscreen News at 10. We'll take a break now. When we return, we'll take some business stories. Stay with us. Welcome back, and now for some business stories. The Naira has come under pressure against the United States dollar, falling to 366 Naira to the greenback on the parallel market. The pressure followed the decline in the nation's foreign exchange policy and reserves for the first time in 8 months. According to data from the Central Bank of Nigeria, the external reserves slipped to $47.793 billion on May 14th from $47.865 billion on Thursday, May the 10th. The reserves, which fell further to $47.784 billion on May 16, rose to $47.799 billion on May 18, but however dropped to $47.754 billion on May 21st. The latest CBN data showed the reserves figures had not been updated as of the time of filing this report. The Central Bank of Nigeria Governor Godwin Emefiele has warned banks against selling dollars to eligible travelers above the stipulated price of 360 Naira. Emefiele gave the warning during an inspection of banks in Abuja to monitor the rate of compliance with the circular issued to banks on the state of Forex. The bank branches visited by the governor are Zenith Bank PLC in Maitama, First Bank of Nigeria Limited in Central Area, and United Bank of Africa in Area 3. The CBN had issued the circular to banks directing them to sell the foreign exchange over the counter to eligible buyers who walk into any bank regardless of whether they are customers of the bank or not. The CBN governor said to qualify to access foreign exchange under this regime, such eligible travelers must have in their possession valid traveling documents such as visas, passports and air tickets. Emefiele further said they will deploy examiners to continue with the on-site inspection of the lenders. And the Department of Petroleum Resources, DPR, Abeokuta Field Office, said a shut down 19 liquefied petroleum gas and skid plants in Ogun State over the failure to adhere to safety standards and operating without approval. The operation controller of DPR, Abeokuta Field, Muinat Bello, disclosed this in Abeokuta at a meeting with the leadership and members of LPG skid owners. in Ogun State chapter. Bello Zagi said the department carried out the sealing of the 14 gas plants during a 2-week safety surveillance of LPG and skid plants in Mowe, Marlborough, Abeokuta, Shagamu, Isheri-Olofin, and Ijabode. And still talking business, Nigeria Stock Exchange report says the nation's stock market total transaction by investors fall by 22.11% to 212.23 billion in April. The bourse records in 272.48 billion transactions in March compared to 212.05 billion in February and 394.44 billion in January. Foreign portfolio investors' transactions on the NSE fell by 7.32% to 122.53 billion in April from 132.21 billion in March. The foreign investors outperformed their domestic counterparts by 15.48% in April, as total domestic transactions declined by 36.05% to 89.70 billion from 140.27 billion in March. According to the data, the cumulative transactions from January to April increased by 114.22% to 1.091 trillion from 509.38 billion recorded in the same period of last year. We'll take another break now. When we return, we'll take some foreign stories and some sports news. Stay with us.